looking like this? Tell me, am I looking like this?
Hey, what's going on, you beautiful people? My name's Tie-Dye. I hope you guys had a pretty awesome day today. My day's been pretty awesome so far. So in today's video, I have another interview here, and today I will be interviewing Miss Bianca Donk. She is a worker at Ubisoft Montreal. Super awesome person. I'm sure you've seen her stuff I've sent to her on Twitter if you follow me there. Really awesome person, animator, and streamer online as well. So Bianca, if you want to introduce yourself to everyone.
Hey guys, I'm Bianca, or Ms. Bianca Dunk on the internet, and I'm a gameplay animator at Ubisoft Montreal.
That is so awesome. So just to start off a little bit, do you want to just let everyone know what exactly that means, like what you do at your job every single day, just so we're all on the same page here?
Right, so I'm a gameplay animator, which entails that I am the player, is the simplest way to put it. So all the player actions, the navigation. I do work with some AI, but where I work now, I'm pretty much just I'm the player, essentially.
Which is great. I think I saw a while ago, or you mentioned this briefly, that you do a lot of work with motion tracking now, right?
I did at one point, but thankfully on the project that I work now, Rainbow Six Siege, we do all keyframe animations for our like reloads and gadgets and stuff like that. AI and the base navigation was motion capture, but since that was done before I got there, I don't really work with motion capture all that much.
Okay, and I'm just guessing by the way that you said thankfully, it's probably not your favorite thing in the world?
Well, I knew going into Ubisoft that they do heavily use motion capture, which is not a problem. I've handled it before, but there is like a je ne sais quoi about hand-keyed animation that motion capture can't quite get. And so I'm really happy that I get to do hand-keyed.
Okay, I totally get that. And I mean, it's definitely a lot more popular now, right? Especially in the bigger studios, the motion tracking. I see that a lot everywhere popping up, especially whenever you watch like a behind the scenes documentary. It's more or less the motion tracking than anything else, which is it really as popular now as just traditional keyframing?
For me, it's an aesthetic more than anything. As you can see, a lot of AAA games are going for like the realism and capturing the human performance, which is fantastic. But for something that needs to be snappy and quick, like you really have to do that hand-keyed. But if you're going for realism, 100% go for motion capture.
Sweet. Okay, it's just so interesting because it's just a completely different way. And of course, it'll never like completely replace anything, right? Like I was having a conversation not too long ago about this kind of stuff. Not so much about the motion tracking, but more or less about photo scanned 3D items, which I guess is kind of like in the similar ballpark because it's taking directly from real life, right? Because in a way, a lot of people would think that if you can motion track, you won't need animators, or if you can completely 3D scan, you won't need 3D modelers. But they're just tools that assist. So it's really cool that you're still able to do the keyframe and the key by key in the old traditional way, because in my opinion, I think that's a lot more cool when you know someone had total freedom to do this. And like you said, it's way more precise, way more snappy. But anyways, that's super cool that you're doing that at Ubisoft Montreal. But anyways, just to sort of backtrack a little bit, I'd find it really interesting if you could dive into how you exactly got there, because a lot of people look at these jobs and they sort of see it as this like impossible thing, like, oh, I could never make it there, right?
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear how you actually went from, you know, maybe let's just say out of high school to how you got there.
Okay, well, out of high school, so I always wanted to be a Disney animator. So I did not want to go for games first, because in my crowd of people, like, no one worked in games. It essentially was just film. Like, games was just, like, something you do at night. Like, why are you playing all those video games? You know, like how parents are and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So out of high school, I was like, okay, I want to become an animator. I want to work for Disney. This is the thing. We have a siege up here in Quebec, which is between high school and university. So I just did like Cal Arts, like just the regular art program. And then once I went to university, I did film animation. So we learned how to draw by hand and then frame by frame underneath the camera. And then we developed our film and everything. So I really did like the whole Disney thing. But unfortunately, the year that I graduated was the year they closed down their 2D studio. I was so sad.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, just terrible, I guess, unfortunate events, I guess it's called. But then I thankfully got a job. I worked for a year, and I was like, oh, I'm liking this, but like it's not films. I was doing educational material and stuff like that. And I was thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go back to school. I don't know what for, but there's really no 2D animation in Montreal at this time. And the day that I was going to put in my notice to be like, I'm going back to school, was like the day they laid me off. And I was like, this is a sign. I need to go back to school. So I found a program that taught me video games, about a year intensive. And I took the year intensive. And before I graduated, I had a job at I worked at an indie studio for a year. And then I worked there, then I taught for a bit, and then Ubisoft called me up and was like, we have something for you, you'd be interested in. And I was like, oh, okay, sure, why not? And then that's where I am today. That was 9 months ago.
That is so interesting. So it totally was just like the stars aligned for you at that one opportunity, right?
Yeah, I was very fortunate about that. Yeah, so I essentially wanted to be a Disney animator, and I ended up in video games.
Which is still super, super cool. Like, obviously, you seem very happy doing what you're doing, right?
Oh, I love what I do. I love it.
Awesome. But I have to ask then, if you were super into 2D animation, how was the transition over to 3D, more or less? Was it just like, because there's the principles of animation, which are universal in a sense, but
yes,
it must have been totally different.
I have a funny story about that. I did take 3D in university, and I hated it. I hated it to the core. I didn't like the teacher. I didn't like Maya. It was the worst. So I just wasn't in the right mindset in university. But when I went to take it, like later on, I was so into it. I loved it. I guess it must have been the teacher, because he was the teacher I took at I guess video game school was really good. But for me, it wasn't a really hard transition. The only thing that really bothered me was like the curve editor. At the end of everything, like once you have all your poses, all your timing, there's this like curve editor that you have to go into to make sure your curves are all smooth. That is what I couldn't wrap my head around, and people obsess about it. Like people like, the curve editor, they must be smooth, and so I'd obsess about that, and it would ruin my animation in the end. But then when I started at Ubisoft, my animation director was like, don't touch the curve editor at all. Don't even open it up. And I was like, why weren't you there like 5 years ago when I was learning this? It would have been like a totally different story. So, it was hard because it's like the 3D. It's like all like 360. But like once you understand like where your camera source is essentially like 2D, but you just don't draw for like hours a day.
Yeah, I always knew it was super, super hard work, but I never really did a lot of 3D animation until this year. So first and second semester, I was able to take an animation course, and I totally know what you mean. Once you get to the graph editor stage, like you have all your poses right, and then you're just like, oh, this part. Or like, there's so many simple things that you can forget. I knew one of the biggest problems for me was always, I would never rotate the camera when I was posing. And then when I started to sort of like, I tweened all the frames, I'm just like, this looks really good from one angle, but then when I turn it, this is really bad. So, I mean, even doing like a simple run cycle for me is still difficult. So seeing when someone does something really crazy, like at a professional level, like something you're doing, it's just, I have so much more respect for that now. So it's really awesome that you were able to sort of move those skills over and really like end up where you are today, because Ubisoft Montreal is no joke, right? Like that's the real deal.
That's
so
pretty, yeah, that's kind of the top, right?
Yeah, so once again, congratulations.
It's still surreal in my life. Yeah, thank you.
It's just so cool. So I guess going back to more or less where you started, a question that I like to ask people is, if you could give yourself advice, maybe like 5 years back, what would you tell yourself about the position you're in now and what you do to prepare for it?
Don't hate that 3D teacher. Because essentially I could have started a lot earlier if I had really taken that 3D class seriously, but I didn't, because I just hated it, because I'm like, yeah, I'm a traditional artist. I love to draw. I love 2D animation, and looking at 3D, I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be the death of this medium. And I was coming at it from that angle, and it kind of like delayed me. It's not that I'm not old in the industry, and I'm not young as well, but I could have started so much earlier, just because like I just shut down that like 3D sucks. I hate it. So I could go back and be like, Bianca, just be open-minded.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Okay. Well, I guess since we're on the topic of school, I was gonna ask this a little bit later on, but what is your opinion on it? Because I know there's some people who are super like, it's totally helpful, really, really recommend it, while there's other people on the opposite side of the spectrum saying you do not need school at all. And for me, at least, I don't think you need it. and this is just my personal opinion, plus I'm not very experienced to even like say anything like this, but I would say it's nice to have, but I would love to hear your opinion on it going into a field like this.
It would depend. Your school is more technical, right? Like, do you have any theory classes at all? Or is it just like produce?
It's more like produce. It's just very repetition based. Like you make something and then you build upon it and then work on it and just keep going and keep going. Like you're always making something. Like there is classes where you are learning, of course, and there's lectures and stuff like that, but the majority of your week is just producing.
Okay. So for me, like when I did the year intensive, it was essentially there's no theory classes. It was all just learning the skills in order to model, to texture, to light, to animate. And there was no like background information. Whereas when I was at university, like we learned everything. We really only had like one animation class, maybe two. The rest was just theory, like understanding what is 2D animation, understanding what is film, just understanding the basis so that when you go into your animation class, you're more prepared. Because funny enough, like when you animate, 80% of it is actually not animation. It's you studying, like learning what the movement is, finding resources in order to understand that movement, and then 20% is actually recreating that movement. So you just need a basis of like understanding what you're doing. So for me, I need to understand animation. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go watch people. I'm going to sketch. I'm going to understand the human body. Maybe take an anatomy class, which I never really did, but I should. So it really depends where you're going into. If you're going into texturing, well, maybe it's good to take a photography class or maybe a painting class in order to learn how to reproduce textures. And if you're going to model, hey, take an anatomy class, take a sculpting class. It's always good to learn and understand like the more physical aspect of your job rather than just keeping it digital. And I really want to emphasize that. It's like for me, coming from a 2D background, I feel that I have a stronger sense of 3D animation because of that, rather than students who start right away in 3D. I find there's like a disconnect, and I notice it as well. So I would encourage to learn the physical aspect of your job, especially in visuals. Obviously, you can't learn physical aspect of programming because it's just text, though.
Yeah, it's super, super true, right? Like you can't properly recreate something if you don't fully understand what it is you're making, right?
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. I do want to go back though. So your year intensive was obviously a lot of really good practice, but would you say you could have been able to get to where you are today if you didn't take the prior courses, like the 3-year, I think you said it was? At uni?
Like my university degree?
Yeah.
Well, university prepared me to be a filmmaker more than anything. I still appreciate it because I learned all the basics of animation. I cannot emphasize enough, like the 12 principles of animation, you really need to understand them. I think only 12 or 11 of them apply to 3D, but you still need those two extra. It's like appeal and I forget what the other one is. Pretty much like the two principles you need in order to draw, but since you have a rig, you don't really need to understand that. But definitely, if people can take 2D classes, even if you don't draw, who cares? You can just do stickman. It's the same principles. Like you need to learn how to pose, like strong posing. Your timing needs to be good, and yeah, pretty much those two are. Oh, and weights. Yes, I keep forgetting about that one. Like understanding the human body and how it throws around itself is so important. So important.
Okay, nice to know. So, I guess what we could talk about a bit more is your actual, like, what you do. And one of the things I want to ask is when it comes to your animation job, what is probably, you'd say, the best part of it, and then something that isn't so great? Because I guess a lot of people, they sort of see an animator and they're not 100% sure what they're doing every day and the different varieties of things they get to tackle. So I guess that'd be a pretty interesting question to ask you here.
Sure. I'll give like two of my first job compared to now, because my first job was obviously my first one in the industry, and I was the sole animator, and I was also the sole technical animator as well, which was very difficult, which meant, so I was doing, again, gameplay animation, so I had to recreate all the animations for the game, but as well as integrate it into the engine. And like I'm just fresh out of school. I don't know what Unity is. I had to learn the entire, like how to put all the animations together in the tree, plug in the animations, and then get them to play. So I was working with the programmers, but they didn't know my job, and I kind of didn't know theirs. So I was always back and forth. I'm like, here are the animations. They're in the tree. Do they play? And then they'd be like, no. And I'm like, no. Like, this is so frustrating. So that was a fantastic experience because I got to make a boatload of animations, but it was extremely frustrating because I didn't know the tools. That was my like lack of my knowledge, because we just don't learn engines in school. We're more on the visual aspect, which was both amazing and frustrating because I'd like make these awesome animations and I'd implement them and then they wouldn't play, and you'd be sitting there, why isn't this working? And no one would be there to be like, well, it's because of this, because you're the only person, like you're both animator and technical animator, you're supposed to know all this. But that's fine. I love the experience nonetheless. As per now, I love it now because I get to work with hand-keyed animations. I specifically love reloads now for some odd reason. I never paid attention to them before because I don't play shooters at all, but now I do. And that's what I always see. Like anytime I watch people playing shooters, I'll come up and just watch the reloads. And it's like, well, I guess that's a good reload. Like, you know, it takes up too much screen space, but it's fine. The worst part is that everything takes forever. Like I have my task and I finish it and it's like, can I see it in game now? And I'm like, no, not quite yet. Or like something, like a feature's not ready, so my animations are there and I'm like, I want to see them happen, but you know, a feature is just not done yet. So that can be a little frustrating that I have to like, wait a little bit, but it is what it is, right?
Right. So I have a bunch of things to ask out of that, I'm not gonna lie. So I want to go back to your old job. Is it common to end up just with some work that you have no idea what you're doing with? Like if, say, this is probably a lot more common in a smaller studio, but you just like, is that common to be given work where you're just like, I guess I'll figure it out right now?
At smaller studios, 100%. As I said, like I was the sole animator and technical animator, where like those are supposed to be two different positions. And yeah, that I ran into that problem frequently through my time that was there. But yeah, in smaller studios, it is normal not knowing what to do most of the time. But that's like the fun part of it, because like, oh, we need to do this, but how? And you kind of like pull all these all-nighters in order to make it happen. Yeah. But it's satisfying, because like, yes, I can't believe how many times I put out so many fires and I felt so good about myself. It's like, oh, this thing's broken. It's like, oh, it's okay. Like, obviously you're mad at me because I probably am the one who broke it, but it's okay. I'll fix it. And then you spend like 4 hours trying to fix it, and you fix it and you're like, yes. And then like, cool, now it plays, and you're like, oh yeah, it won't break ever again.
So funny. So how do they accommodate for the time for that kind of stuff? I mean, I guess with indie studios, it's a bit more loose, right? But it's just like, is it just like it's coming out of your time to figure this stuff out, I guess?
Yeah, depending how big the indie studio is, and if you have a timeline. We did have a timeline, and
stressful.
Sometimes I did not make the deadline. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't make it a couple times because I was unfamiliar with the tools. So that happens often. Don't feel discouraged if that does happen. If like you're given a task at a new studio and it's a small one and you don't make your deadline, like really don't fret about it, because it happens often. It happened to me for a full year. That's all I did. It's just like, here's your task. I don't know what to do, but I'll figure it out. Thank you.
That's good to know. And then the other thing I wanted to ask, so going back to the reloads, I hear a lot of people say the more you work in the industry, whether it's animation or design or pretty much anything like this, the more you work in it, the more it like ruins other people's work. Do you ever just like see an animation and you just sort of like cringe and you're like, I know I can do that better?
That happened just this week, actually.
Oh.
I'm not gonna say what it is, but
beef?
I noticed something, and I sat there. I'm like, why? That takes up so much screen space. Why would you do that? But you know, I can't say anything.
Okay.
So yes, it has happened, all the time.
Okay, good to know. Just so that we're all on the same page here.
It's fine. Like, yeah, sorry, never mind.
Oh no, go ahead. I was just gonna move on here, but I was just going to say, because, so we've talked about things that you like, things that you don't like. What are things that are just like super unexpected that just nobody would really guess it's like a part of your day-to-day job. I know for some animators, and I'm not sure this would apply to all of them because I'm assuming it would probably be pretty expensive, but I know for some people, like if it's something very specific, like I'm not sure if you played the game Journey before.
Yeah, I have. I love that game.
It's so good. I knew the animators for that game, they all flew out to a bunch of like sand dunes, I believe in the Middle East somewhere, and studied like sliding on sand and stuff like that. For example, like one of the cool things animators get to do. Is there anything like that that you know people at your studio get to do, or anything like yourself?
I didn't get to do it because I wasn't on the project when it was in production. But yeah, the animators did go to like a ballistic range to like shoot off all the guns. I knew
So
that was
cool.
a thing. I didn't get to because I just started recently. But I kind of want to go do it just to be like, I need to fire a gun in order to understand this better.
I guess so, yeah. So you must be in charge of, you said reloads, right?
Yeah, guns and gadgets is my job.
So from a first-person perspective?
Both.
Okay.
I do both.
So that must be
Like
very
both,
different
yeah.
because, like you said, you're not a very big shooter fan, at least going into this. So how did that even like start? How did you get into that and really get, you know, used to everything that's going
Yeah,
on?
so when I came into the interview, they obviously gave me an overview of the job, and I had a choice between working with the AI or working with the operators. And I was like, well, what's the difference? I'm like, well, one you work with motion capture specifically, and the other one you do hand keyed. I was like, hand keyed, please. Because also I have zero experience with first person animations, and I wanted to learn so much because it's different, completely different aesthetic from like gameplay animation from third person. Like if the camera is behind the character and like if you see the character, like that's a different dynamic of animations as per like you just see the hands.
Mm-hmm.
Like how much real estate can you use when you do your reloads, like where the gun should be placed. And I wanted, or I'm gonna say I needed to learn that. And so far it's been quite successful. I am loving it.
That is so awesome. I know I was watching this. Do you know extra credits on YouTube?
Yes, I do.
Did you watch their video on the Overwatch, like first
Yes,
person?
I did.
Yes, that's the first thing I thought of when you started talking about that. It's so
Yeah.
cool, right? It's just the little details. And I mean, I'm sure a lot of stuff in games in general get really overlooked, especially from people who don't really understand all the stuff that's going behind the scenes. But I mean, it's all the subtle stuff, right, that really makes the biggest difference like that.
Well, specifically for Overwatch, because they have such a range of characters, and they're all different, so they can actually pull stuff like that off, which I find really... I didn't notice... Like, I played Overwatch, obviously, since it came out, but I only started noticing all the fine details when I started doing first-person animations.
Makes all the difference, right? Like I said, it's
yeah.
like once you start doing it, you notice everyone else's work and things they do good and things they do bad.
Yeah, but it's also like a learning experience. Like, oh, like, why is this success? Like, why do I suddenly see what is successful and what's not successful? And it's, yeah, I guess because I do it every day. Let's see what other people do.
So I guess if we're talking about personal animation and other people's animation, what do you think's one thing that a lot of people just don't really know about animation and don't really appreciate as far as like, because obviously it's a very time-consuming task, right? And there's certain things that you may have spent like days on that people sort of brush over in just a couple of seconds. So what would you say is probably one of the hardest things that people just don't really realize when it comes to animation in general?
So I'm going to tell a little story.
Okay.
Earlier this year, I was at GDC, and which is the game developers conference that happens in San Francisco, where we all just converge together and just like nerd it up pretty much about
So
the
lucky.
game industry. And the one thing that really bothered me is that when I told people my job, they would kind of be like, "Oh, you're just an animator." I kept calm most of the time, but it bothered me because like, what does that mean? You're just an animator. Technically, like, we make the visuals for your game. Like, why are you brushing me off? Like, we do a lot. Like, think about it. Like, a navigation system for one character entails 200 plus animations. Someone went in and did all those 200 animations like by hand. That's only to walk around. Like, then you have climbing, then you have fighting, which could be like another 500 like it could be like a set of thousands of animations, and all you have to say is, "Oh, you're just an animator.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I mean, obviously I don't know all the details, but my best guess would probably be that would have just been the environment, right? Because I know in most situations, it's totally the opposite. Most people see the visuals and they're like, oh, that's so cool. And they never give any credit to like the programmers. So maybe at GDC, it was just totally flipped on its head.
I guess so. Like, at least that was my experience.
Yeah.
Please, if someone else had another experience, please let me know.
I mean, either way, like,
But,
it's interesting because, yeah, I guess no one really gets to see the coders' work and the programmers and stuff like that. But still, to just sort of brush your work under the rug like that is just kind of cold.
yeah. Well, most of the time people do, like, they see the aesthetic more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's how, like, since everything's mostly behind closed doors, people don't understand, like, what exactly the different departments do. And what does it entail to be a programmer? Like, what does it entail to be an animator? Like, everyone knows what an artist does, what a concept artist does. But it's like, after that, it's like just a bunch of people that get together and have a party and they make a game. Like, no, it's not like that. Like, I'd rather be forward with each role does. And it depends, like, do you want to know that or not? Like, some people just don't want to know how games are made at all, which is unfortunate because by knowing how they're made, like, you'd appreciate it more, and then you'd understand, like, what exactly you're looking at.
Yeah, I totally get that. So I guess a good question to sort of branch off from that would be to ask, since you knew you wanted to always do animation, did you get a lot of people sort of like give you like, oh, you want to do animation? And then like, how was that compared to now when you're actually an animator?
I still get the blank stares, to be honest.
Oh no.
Like, oh, it's fine. I'm used to it by now. But yeah, when I first started, well, now I was like a kid when I told my parents I wanted to be an animator, and then I'd tell people, they're like, oh, well, like, because animateur in French is like a counselor, like you're like a you're more of a counseling role. So when I would say that, they'd be like, so you want to go into teaching? And I'm like, no, I want to animate. Like, I want to make movies. Like, oh, you want to be like a filmmaker? And it's like, no, I want to make the things that move. So you want to be an artist? And it's just like, no. But now it's like when I say I'm an animator, it's like, oh, what does that mean? And I just say, I make things move.
I make things move.
I make things move. Like, because it's still not wide, it's not common knowledge yet exactly, like, what all these positions are. Oh, if I go to, like, an industry event, like, people know right away. But if I go with, like, my family, I'm like, oh, I'm an animator, like my family's friends. I have to explain it to them.
Yeah,
I make the
gosh.
things move.
I totally understand you. It's the same for me too, right? Because I'm at that age where everybody's just going into university and college, and everyone's like, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be a lawyer. And I'm like, I'm going to make game visuals. And then no one ever knows what that means. So I'm just like, oh, maybe one day everyone will get it. You never know.
The funniest is, I want to be a modeler.
Yeah.
What?
Oh my God.
Model? It's like, no, a modeler.
I know, I get that so many times. I have to be so specific. It's just like, trust me. I mean, I appreciate that you'd even consider I could be a model, but probably not anytime soon. So, I mean...
it's not common. I hope one day it will be that you just say any of these things. People are like, oh, that's awesome.
Well, do you think it would be, though? I mean, it's still... I mean, I guess it's still a very new art form, right? But it's, like, become common enough that I think... Yeah, maybe eventually everyone will know these terms.
I hope so. That made me so happy.
So I guess now that we're talking about the future, one of the things I really like asking people who are in the industry and are really up to date with all this stuff is, where do you think everything is heading? Like, are you someone who's really like on board with VR? Do you think the Switch totally changed things up? Like, where do you think all of this is going to be going? Like 5 or 10 years from now? Like, what are we going to be playing on? What's going on?
I have no idea.
No idea?
Are you kidding me? I don't, like, at this point, like, I've seen video games go from, like, pixels to 3D, or to, like, high definition 3D. Like, what, I know it can get better, but, hey, things look awesome now. Like, I'm pretty content with the way things are. If they get better, they get better. If they don't, I'm not too disappointed.
Okay. Do you think, this is probably a good one for an animator, because I don't think a lot of people realize how much this relies on the animator as well. Do you think we'll get over that little uncanny valley depth, what am I saying here, in the next like 5 or 10 years? Do you think we'll have true photorealism in games?
We do have real in like in film it's possible, but it depends like how much budget do you want to put on that? Because
I know.
like this stuff costs a lot, and if you want a film budget for your game, yeah, go ahead, do your photo reel. But at one point you're gonna have to think, like, is it worth it?
Yeah, I know what you mean. And like, I think the one thing that really convinced me was, did you ever see Rogue One?
Yes.
That one
Oh
guy,
yeah, right.
the
Yes.
dead guy, he was in
Him,
there.
the dead guy.
The dead guy.
Right.
That was,
Oh yeah.
it was
I know
so
who you're talking
close.
about.
I swear, if nobody told me that he wasn't real, I don't know if I would have picked it up. But the fact that I knew it wasn't real, I kept looking at it. And I'm like, I think I see it. I think I get it. I don't know.
Well, I only knew because I know the actor has passed away.
Yeah.
So when he popped up on screen, I'm like, whoa, he was old in the 70s. How is he alive now? And how does he look the same? And then he started talking, and I was like, oh, he's 3D.
Yeah.
It's always the lips that give it away.
Yes. Oh my
Always.
goodness. But
Which
that
is
must
fine.
be.
It's still pretty darn close. I must say, like it's really close.
Yeah, like one of the things I've always wanted to do, which obviously could never happen, would be like take someone from the past who's like really impressed with the old like Godzilla movies or something and sit them down in front of Guardians of the Galaxy or something and just like see what they say. But yeah, that's pretty close. You could probably fool a lot of people. Like I know my parents and some other family members had no idea until I told them. So I guess obviously for you, you're really looking out for that stuff.
Well, I'm very sensitive to it, yeah.
Yeah. But I guess the voice acting would definitely be the hardest part. For something like that, though, that would totally have to be
The
mocapped.
voice seemed pretty good.
Sorry, the
Well, it's
syncing.
like-
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, no,
Oh.
it definitely was, like, there was an actor who was standing there and doing his parts. They just kind of put a different face on top of him. So, like, they still had all the information of, like, his blinking, his lip movement. They still had all of that. It's just they kind of rotoscoped a face on top of him. Like, a different one.
It's just so weird. It's interesting to see where it's going, right? Because yeah, you're right. I'd say, this is just my personal thoughts. I'd say in 10 years, like, we will get to that point where that quality will be in games. But at the end of the day, I feel like the older I get, and I'm sure you probably think the same way, like, that doesn't really matter. Like, you know, like, a game is not fun because, hey, we have this realistic looking old dude in here.
Yeah, that's it. That's how I felt this year when I was watching E3. Anytime, like any of the conferences, I'm like, oh my god, these games they all look amazing. We've reached a point where almost across the board, everyone is of a quality, and it made me really excited because everything looks like gorgeous. Like I'm an artist at the end of the day, so like all these visuals are just I geek out over them all the time. So from now on, it's like, yes, your game is gorgeous, but what's gonna pull me in?
Yeah,
Like,
I know what
is
you
it going to
mean.
be characters? Is it going to be gameplay? Like, now that we have all reached a certain quality, now, like, the real quality is going to have to matter.
I totally know what you mean. Like, I hope you're not... Okay, I hope I don't offend you by this, because I'm not the biggest Xbox fan in the world, and I feel like all of their press conferences are always power and frames per second and 4K and stuff like that. And I feel like they were definitely the kings of the game back in the day, but I think they've dropped the ball a bit on that just to really focus on graphics, which is kind of sad. I don't know.
Maybe they're preparing for something.
Maybe they're onto something. Maybe Minecraft 4K
I have no
is... Maybe
yes,
it's the next
cubes
big
in
game.
high definition.
Ooh.
Yeah, maybe they're preparing for that next generation of, like, really high definition graphics. At least they'll have the manpower for it. Like, let's get dead people all around in this game. Just, like, output, like, HD graphics, 4K, till the end of time.
Well, yeah, like, if I were to ask you, though, like, what is your favorite, like, AAA modern game that's come out in the past, like, 2 or 3 years? Like, could you think of one that was, like, totally caught your attention, is totally one of your favorite games of all time now, and it was pushed really hard on the graphics?
Of all time, that will never happen, because I have a soft spot for Final Fantasy. And it'll
Which
forever
one?
be Final Fantasy 7.
I've never
It'll
played.
always... it doesn't matter. It's okay. I'll forgive you. That one will always stay number 1, just because it was a huge impact on my life. But number 2... recently, it is a battle between Last of Us and Horizon Zero Dawn. I know Last of Us was a while ago, But Horizon, like when it was announced at E3 2015, I was hooked day one. I was
Oh,
like,
it
yep,
looks
I'm
so
purchasing this.
good.
And then playing the game, the immersion of the characters, the immersion of especially the animations. I think that's what got me the most, because there's obviously a bunch of conversation systems that you have to go through, and the way the lip sync was top notch. Like I was really impressed.
Okay. But like if I were to ask you then, like what is your favorite game of the past 3 years? Would it be one of those AAA games like Horizon Zero Dawn, or would it be more catered towards the indie scene? Because I know like you're a huge fan of Inside and a lot of that stuff where it's more focused on the game rather than the graphics.
Dang it.
I know, I'm hitting you with the hard ones.
That's true, yes. Dang, because Inside was perfect.
So good. It has to be, honestly, the animations in that game is what really, really caught me off guard. Like,
and there's not a lot of them, to be honest. They
know,
had a conference at GDC, and there's like really not a lot of animations, which is boggles my mind. But oh man, that game is actually really good. Oh no,
it's just so smooth. I thought everything just like, because you know sometimes I mean I don't know the proper terminology, but like say you're running and then you have to jump really fast, like you're gonna immediately have to get into that jump animation, right? Like there's gonna be a bit of an awkward transition phase. I felt like there was none of that at any point in that entire game. Like everything just worked super smooth.
That just means their tree is very well built. Yeah, and their transitions are on par and stuff like that. Yeah. That's a whole nother talk.
A whole nother talk. Just for those who don't really understand, what exactly are you referring to by an animation tree?
Oh, animation tree. So an animation tree is like, it's not an actual tree, but we just call that because it has, like, you have your base idle pose, and you can branch out to your jump, your climb, your run, and it could either come back to the idle, or you can go from, like, run to a jump, and they'll just be interconnected by arrows. That's why eventually it looks like a tree, like tree roots. So eventually things will go back to the idle pose, or will go to the run. Like it's just all interconnected. I'm trying to explain it, but
no, I get what you're saying.
Would be better. Like I'm really bad at explaining this kind of stuff without having a picture next to me, be like, "This is the animation tree."
Yeah, it just like breaks off into different things, and yeah, you explained it good. I understand.
Oh, thank goodness! Thank you.
No worries. Okay, so I know. Okay, this is like backtracking a little bit, and this is totally off topic from what we were just talking about. I'm not the greatest interviewer in the world. I'm sorry, but going back to when you got hired for your first job, a lot of people have different opinions on this, and I'd love to hear your take on it. A lot of people say just whenever you're offered a job in the gaming industry, when you're trying to get in, just take it no matter what. And some people say wait it out for a decent one. What would you say for that? Just like if you get any opportunity, just jump on it?
I was a different case because I had to do an internship in order to get my my certificate to finish school. If that's not the case for you, it does depend like what they are offering you, and if you are in a city that has a lot of studios, or in a city that doesn't have a lot of studios, because it all depends. Like, do you have a lot of places to go, or do you have like few places to go? For me, I just really wanted to start working. I had contacted the studio because I met them a couple months before. So when I emailed them, I did a mass email, not like individually, not like a CC to everybody, but I contacted at least 10 studios, told them I was available. I'm like fresh out of school, like may I do an internship, like, or like a brief period where you can try me out. And they were the only one that emailed me back. So I went for the interview. It seemed like a good place. So I was like, you know what? I have nothing to lose. Let's just do this.
Well, I guess you're lucky, right? Because you're in Montreal, which is a pretty hot spot for that.
Yeah, like every corner has a game studio.
Wow, it's so cool. Would you say, at least in Ontario, it might be a bit different? Because I know that the Canadian government is really trying to make Toronto the next like big game place, right? So I know there's a lot of places hiring there, and one of the main things they're really looking for right now is animators. Is that like universal that a lot of studios are looking for animators more than anything else, or does that just happen to be the situation where I am?
That just happens to be the situation. What's happening currently in Montreal is that a lot of the animators are going to film, and so there's a lack of animators in the video game industry, which I discovered that recently, which is quite the shocker.
So why do you think that is? Is it more or less like a lot of people, well, obviously other than the reason that everyone's leaving, but Is it because there's not enough people who are interested, or is there just not enough students, or just the
No,
quality?
there's just a lot of more job. There's a lot of more job. That's not very good English. There's because we have a lot of visual effects company here in Montreal as well, and they're growing rapidly because of all the amount of projects they're getting, and they just need animators more, and they're just like, here, we have this. Come work on this movie. Don't you want to work on this movie? And they're drawing all these animators, and they're just leaving video games for film.
Okay, so Montreal is the place to be if you want to be an animator?
100%.
All right.
For now, at least, yeah.
Yeah, because I have a lot of people in my class, at least, who are still, they're like, well, at least the way that my program works is you get to sort of experiment with everything in your first 2 years, and then by like the end of your second year, you should know what you really want to do. In third year, that's all you do. All you do is this. You do projects for like studios and stuff like that. But a lot of people are leaning towards animation, and I think it's because we actually had one of our professors was from Ubisoft Toronto, and he kept saying exactly what you were saying, really pushing it that there's a lot of animation jobs right now. So,
well, because this is the thing, as much as they are pushing towards motion capture, people still need to clean that information up because it's not perfect. And like, yes, you have a mass amount of motion capture, you're going to need a mass amount of people to edit that stuff and make it look good in order to have it in your game. So it's great that they're using motion capture, and people, oh, motion capture is going to put out animators. It's like, no, you're actually giving us jobs because you realize that raw motion capture is crazy ugly, and you need someone to make it look pretty.
So like, how many people are actually doing like a specific project exactly? Because that's one of the things that's a bit confusing for an outsider like myself. It's like, if a certain game, I don't know, had a cast of characters of like 5 people and it was just 5 people for a whole game, how many animators would you need to cover everything?
A buttload. Like 20 plus.
Really?
Yeah. Of course. That's a lot. Like 8, yeah, that's a lot of characters. And then you have like every scene they're in, and probably facial as well. Yeah, of course.
So then how would that be divided up?
I guess it depends, like if you're a junior or a senior, or if you're gameplay, or if you're cinematics.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. It's just, I don't know, animation is still, I feel like I'm starting to understand it a bit more, but there's still this whole other world that I have no idea what's behind the scenes at all.
Once you get into a studio, it'll be black and white in front of you. But yeah, I guess still in school, you're like, what do I do? Like, what do they do? It'll be obvious, like, once you start working.
Okay. So say you are coming directly out of school and you're going into a studio, like, what kind of accommodations do you exactly have? Like, what are the expectations of a brand new animator or a new employee in general? Because obviously they know you don't have the full experience, and like you said earlier, sometimes they just give you things you don't exactly know what to do. So what are the expectations of a brand new?
Yeah. So if someone is hiring you as an animator, you should be able to animate, not to the same quality as like your senior of like 10 years, but it should be fairly close. Like on the project that I am now, like they expect me to animate the same as my senior, and he's been there for like 15 years. So yes, I'm still a junior, but there's still that level of quality. Like they do help me. Like if I don't reach that quality, they will be like, okay, this is what you can do in order to achieve it. But they never take my animations away from me. I think that's like a very good, because some people just be like, okay, you just do the basis and then hand it off to the senior and they'll finish it off, and it's like, that's not very good for them because they don't complete it by themselves, and they won't understand like what it is to start an animation, what it is to finish it, because they'll never see the end product unless they play the game. But for me, at least, I get to do like A to Z, which is fantastic.
Sweet. That's good to know. It's good to know because, yeah, I guess that would be kind of concerning if you made something and they're just like, nope, we're going to make the senior animator do it better. That would probably crush your morale.
Yeah, and it could happen.
Okay. Well, I mean, it obviously makes sense, right? Like, at the end of the day, they just want the best quality, but...
Yeah, but it's better to give confidence to your juniors so they get to that level of quality. And you don't have to, because the senior is already run down with the amount of stuff he has to do. Like, you want to alleviate it by training your juniors properly so that you can have quality across the board and not always flush it onto your senior.
Okay. So, that kind of transitions into my next question here. So how exactly is the quality of work in the game industry? Because obviously we all know back in the day it was pretty dodgy, but it's transitioning away from that now. Like, would you say it's above average, average?
It really does depend. Currently, I work on AAA, so the quality is fairly high. But my first job in the industry, like, it was borderline AAA, so a lot of the animations, like, I was not happy with them. But my producer kept saying, like, no, it's good enough, it's good enough. But for me, I was like, no, but it's not. But I'm a perfectionist, so that's okay. But now it's like I'm reaching that level of quality and they're like, no, push it further. And it's like, oh no, like I'm not good enough. But this is great because then my skill as an animator increases rather than always being told, yeah, it's fine, just put it in. Now they're stopping me. They're like, this is not good enough, make it better. So I'm actually improving as an animator rather than being like stuck in like level 1, if you want to put it into those terms.
Well, have you ever had anything published that you were just like, oh no, that like should not have happened?
Yeah, that entire year contract. There were some animations that I really liked, but most of the time, like I would make my animation, and for me it wasn't to the quality I wanted, but they're like, just, it's fine for us, put it in the game. And I was like, okay.
Oh, I'm not sure if you're allowed to answer this, but like, what game was that exactly?
I'm not going to answer that.
Okay, good. I don't want to force you to say anything. I'm not going to like ask you,
No,
so
no.
what's the next Ubisoft game coming out? Or anything.
Oh, this wasn't then. No. This
Oh,
was
I know.
my
I'm
first contract.
just sneaking some secret questions there.
Nah. I will shut you down.
Of course. We tried with our one prof, but we couldn't crack him.
Good.
So, I guess I'll probably wrap this up soon because it has been a while, and I really do appreciate your time.
Yeah.
So just one question would be for students out there or people who are inspiring to be like you and get to a position like you, whether it be animation or anything in the industry, what is your number one piece of advice for getting from, someone who has no work experience to being in a studio?
Love what you do and make sure that is obvious. The reason why I was hired is because I have a passion. Like, skill is great, but if you don't have the passion, then the amount of skill you have doesn't matter because it's not being inputted into your work. But as opposed to someone who has a lot of passion and they don't have enough skill, their skill will be built over time. So don't be discouraged if you aren't as good as the people working in the industry. That will come in time. Love what you do is the first thing, and it'll be applied to your skill, and you'll get better.
That is so awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
I
also
guess,
network
Yes,
as well.
yes.
That's also good. Like, meet people who, like, follow people that you admire. Like, if you're an animator, I follow like a ton of animators, even non-animators, because you never know who will know someone else. Like, I met a character artist and he hooked me up with an animator to talk to, so you never know. Talk to as many people as you can. If you aspire to work at a certain studio, start following people from that studio. Not creepily interact with them. Like, be like, hey, how's it going? Like, just be friendly. Just be friendly first. Don't go up to someone expecting a job. Go up to someone because you want to be friends with them. You want to gain knowledge from them. You want, like, help from them. Just be friendly, and you'll be okay.
Okay. Because I know I have a lot of viewers who always message me and they're like, hey, I'm from a country and we don't have any movie studios or game studios. What do I do? But I guess that answers it, right? Like, we're in a time where that doesn't really matter anymore, right? Like, you can just find people online and eventually build these relationships, and then, yeah, you never know.
That you also can be relocated as well, or even like work from home if you're in a place that has no film studios or video game studios. Connect with people online, and you can, if you're good enough, they can just relocate you to a city that does have them, or like you'll be relocated to that studio, or work from home. That is also a viable answer.
Is relocation like common?
Oh yes,
like super common, because I'd imagine it's pretty expensive for the company.
but it's worth it if you're viable to the company and they see that, they will move you.
True. All right, well, good to know. I just have one last question. Fun question. So you said your favorite modern game was Horizon Zero Dawn. Well, AAA modern game. So what is your favorite game, period? Childhood game that came out yesterday, just if you had to recommend one game other than Final Fantasy VII to
Dang
anybody.
it. Super Mario RPG. If you haven't
Oh.
played that game, you have to. It's a must.
Okay, you have to sell me on it because I saw you were streaming it the other day. I've never touched it before.
Oh man, it's so good because it's the first time that Nintendo and, well, at the time Square, they're Square Enix now, they came together to make a game based on an IP that existed. So you have Mario. How do you make Mario into an RPG? And they did, with an actual very good story as well. And the game mechanics are really good. And I just love the characters. Well, it's all like the characters you know.
Okay. Is that on the 64?
No, Super Nintendo.
Oh my goodness. Will that be on the mini Super Nintendo?
No, I already checked. I'm disappointed that it's not. Oh, wait.
Really?
I'm not sure. Don't quote me on this. I don't think it is, but it could be. I don't know.
I feel like they would,
I
right?
forgot.
Like there was a lot of good games on there, but like I feel like a title like that is pretty big.
It might be. It might be.
All
I
right.
forgot.
Well,
Well, because I own it, so
true.
like I don't need I already have it, so I'm not. I guess I wasn't excited, but I was looking for another game on the list, and it wasn't there.
They have the new Star Fox though. Star Fox 2 that
Yeah.
was never released.
Yeah.
I don't know. Man, I've actually never played Star Fox. I'm sorry.
It's okay. That's why you get the mini and you play all those amazing games.
I know, just in time for what is it? It comes out like right as soon as I go back to college. Great.
Oh yeah,
Perfect
even
timing.
better.
All right. Well, I guess on that note, thank you so much once again for taking the time to do this. Everybody who's watching, I have all of her links in the description. Miss Bianca Donk on Twitter, I believe, right?
Yep.
And I'll have her stream link, everything down there. So make sure to go check her out. Awesome person. And I don't want to speak for you, but I mean, will you be lingering in the comments maybe to answer anybody who has some random questions?
I could, yes, 100%.
Sweet. So I'll definitely let you know when this goes up. But once again, everyone, thank you so much for watching. And I will catch you in the next video. Have a great day, everyone. See ya.